Okay, so what we are going to cover today is the application process and ensure that application is smoothly completed and it doesn't get rejected, right? So this is basically a step-by-step process to complete your application. So what we will do in this, actually, we will first understand the IIBA certifications. What are the requirements of those certifications, CBAP and CCBA? What IIBA looks for in your application. So the second part is preparing your application. So what information that you need to collect, uh, the structure in a form that is aligned with IIBA requirements. So we will present you a structure that is aligned with IIBA requirements. And how do you apply for those for that certification? What are some of the tips, tricks, and help that you have, and any question and answer that you have. So that's what we will cover in this workshop. So first one, the CBAP and CCBA application. You know, uh, the application process is really stressful. It is daunting. Most of the people say that this is the most difficult part of achieving your certification. And through this presentation, we will try and make it simple. So first of all, consider this application process as a project. Means you need to initiate, you need to plan, you need to execute, and keep monitoring that execution, and finally it need to close. So first, let us understand what are the CBAP and CCBA requirements are, and familiarize ourselves with that application process. Um, the requirements of a CBAP and a CCBA. So the first most important requirement is the BA experience. CBAP requires 7,500 hours of BA experience in past 10 years. And CCBA requires half of it, 3,750 hours of BA experience in past 7 years. Okay, so this is the experience requirement. Need to really consider the number of hours of BA experience. So this is not total experience. This is the experience while conducting the business analysis work, and also there is a timeline associated with it. So for example, as I had told in the class, that my first job in 1985 involved me doing business analysis. However, if I apply for CBAP today, for example, I cannot count that experience because that 1985, it is older than 10 years. So you need to consider the experience that is within 10 years for CBAP and within past 7 years for CCBA. Also, there is a requirement for knowledge area wise experience. So you have 6 knowledge areas in WebOC, and CBAP requires minimum 900 hours of work experience, 900 hours of BA experience in 4 out of those 6 core knowledge areas, because CBAP is for senior business analyst, and therefore IIBA expects that these business analysts would have worked in more than 4 knowledge areas for at least 900 hours. For CCBA, which is for intermediate BAs, IIBA does recognize that you may not get an opportunity to work in all the areas from beginning, and therefore you may have 900 hours in 2 out of 6 knowledge areas, or you could have 500 hours in 4 out of 6 knowledge areas. Okay, so this is the requirement from the perspective of BA experience. From education perspective, you could have high school or degree. For both of them require high school or degree, and you need to have minimum 21 hours of professional development for both of them, CBAP and CCBA. The professional development should be through instructor-led training, such as you attended the CBAP prep course, and this training should have your knowledge tested, as we did that through various quizzes. We did that through the mock questions, right? So that has to be assessed. And you need to also provide 2 references. These references could be from your career manager, could be from your client, or could be another CBAP. For both of them, CBAP and CCBA. And the only requirement in addition to this is that these references must know you for minimum 6 months. Okay, And then you need to sign a code of conduct. So you need to tick that, understand that you're signing that code of conduct, and then you need to pay the fee for CBAP and CCBA application. The application fees is $125. Okay, it is a non-refundable fee. So if your application gets rejected, you lose that $125. Not only that, if the application is rejected, you need to wait for 3 months before you can reapply. So you also lose that time, and therefore we will help you to ensure that you do not lose this money and you do not lose that 3 months of time, and your application is approved. Then once the application is approved, application remains valid for 1 year. Okay, so you can write your exam within 1 year, and the exam fees is $325 if you are a member of IIBA. For both of them, CBAP and CCBA. For those who are not members of IIBA, the fees is $450 for CBAP and CCBA. Okay, the membership fees for is a yearly fee that you need to pay. So membership is a yearly membership, and the membership cost varies. For example, for India, it is $55. So when you take the membership by paying $55, you will still save $70 for your examination fees. In addition to that, actually, you have a lot of resources on IIBA site. You have very high quality publications under 24 book 24/7. There are a lot of good webinars, and many of these webinars are for members only, so you get an access to these webinars. You can see the recording of past webinars. A lot of good resources that are there, so it is truly worth actually spending that $55. Now let me share with you the process. So let me help you familiarize with the process for the application. So this is IIBA site, and you need to specifically look for the certification recognition tab, right? So here is certification recognition tab, and under this tab there are some links which are very important. For example, you have a CBAP or similarly CCBA. Actually, I'm showing his here CBAP, but you have the CCBA certification here. If you click, this will give you the CCBA related thing, and they are same. So CBAP handbook, and this handbook is available free of cost for anyone, either members or non-members. So it is available for both of them. So this is a good book. You should read it. There is also a guide for completing the CBAP or CCBA application. Okay, and then you have an online application itself, and then you can make the PayPal payment for CBAP. So these are important links that you have on this site, and especially the first one, the handbook. And this handbook is good, so I encourage that you download this handbook and read this handbook. As I was saying, this is freely available. You don't have to be even member, right? So you can download this handbook and read this handbook, and especially actually look at the chapter number 5 of this handbook, which has the work experience requirements, knowledge area requirement, educational requirements, professional development requirements, and also the reference requirements, right? So you have these important sections in chapter 5. So especially look for those requirements. Now, one of the most important thing because of which many of the applications get rejected is the work experience. How do you calculate that work experience, and how do you present that work experience? So like we said, for CBAP, you require 7,500 hours of BA experience in past 10 years. And for CCBA, you require 3,750 hours of BA experience. Also, there is a requirement for knowledge area wise work experience. So you require in minimum 4 knowledge area out of 6 should have minimum 900 hours. Similarly for CCBA, you should have 900 hours in either 2 out of 6 knowledge areas or 500 in 4 out of 6 knowledge areas. So let us understand how these number of hours are calculated and how they need to be reported. So first of all, calculation, right? In 1 year, you have 52 weeks. And in India, for example, we have 2 weeks of holiday every year, right? So you have 2 weeks of company holidays. These are our festival holidays, the 10 days of festival holidays that we have. So all organizations have the 10 days of festival holidays. Also, everyone actually receives something called casual leaves, and these are the leaves that can be taken any time. And we end up taking these leaves. So our personal leaves, again 2 weeks of those leaves. So if we reduce this from 52 hours, it gives us 48 hours. So this is 48 weeks. So 48 weeks is the productive time that we have every year, and every week we have 40 hours, and therefore if you multiply this by 40 hours, you get 1920 hours. These are the hours, that productive hours, that we have every year. Okay, so this is a productive hour that we have every year. Now, even if we are full-time BA, we do a lot of work which is not a BA work. For example, we attend project meetings. Attending project meeting is not a BA task. Um, uh, you prepare your weekly report. You prepare your timesheet. Preparation of that timesheet is not a BA hours. Okay. So there was some noise on the line, so I have muted. If you have a question, just type your text, and I'll answer those questions. I'll unmute and answer those questions. So you have every person has requirement of working on some of the things which are not a BA hours, and it is fair to assume about 1 hour every day of that kind of work, right? So non-BA work, 1 hour every day, that means 1 by 8, which is roughly about 15%. So if we reduce this from the number of hours, 15%, then 85% of 1920 is 1632 per year. So this is the time that we have every year, 1632 hours. So our advice is, do not exceed this hour, 1632 hours per year. And also, this is important how these hours are reported. So let us understand how these hours need to be reported to IIBA. So let's say, let's take an example. Someone has 8,000 BA hours. Okay, 8,000 BA hours. Now, what IIBA wants you to report this 8,000 hours in terms of percentage in different knowledge areas, right? So you have these six knowledge areas. You have business analysis, planning and monitoring, you have elicitation, requirements management and communication, enterprise analysis, requirements analysis, and solution assessment and validation. Okay, what IIBA would like you to do, you put percentage of time that you have spent in each of these knowledge areas. So what percentage of 8,000 hours that you have spent in 6 knowledge areas? Okay, so you fill this percentage, 15%, 15%, 25%, 10%, 25%, 10%, for example. Okay, so you fill this percentage. What IIBA does, they calculate in turn, using these percentages, the number of hours that it gives you. So they will calculate, that 15% of 8,000 is 1,200 hours. 25% of 8,000 is 2,000 hours. 10% of 8,000 is 800 hours, and so on. So they will calculate this at the back end. Okay, you will have to provide the percentage. And then the next thing that you will be required to do, each of the knowledge area will have a list of tasks, and you will have to tick those tasks that you have performed, which accounts for this, for example, 1,200 hours in BAPM. Okay, so you will have to tick those tasks. So let's say you tick the 3 tasks over here, and you ticked one task, which is part of the list, is identified project risk, and you identified the project risk in the beginning of the project. When the project manager was making the plan, you happened to identify that risk, and you communicated that risk to the project manager. So maybe actually you spent just 20 hours in doing that work, out of 8,000 hours. But what IIBA does is, as part of the rule, They will proportionately allocate this 1200 hours to number of ticks that you have over here. So they will allocate 400, 400, 400, though you spent only 20 hours in project risk. Okay, so IIBA allocates those hours equally to all those ticked. And now what happens is very interesting to see. Okay, this identifying project risk is not a BA task. It is a project manager's task. Okay, so it is not a BA task, and therefore IIBA will remove this 400 hours. So though you spent 20 hours first of all, and this got apportionately allocated as 400 hours. And the second thing is that this task is not a BA task, and therefore this will be removed from your experience. And hence your experience that IIBA will consider the BA experience in BAPM will be 800, not 1200. And now, and this total experience will also reduce. So this 400 will also be reduced from your total hours, and your total hours will become 7,600. You are still lucky actually that you are more than 7,500 requirements for CBAP. However, there is another requirement that you need to have 900 hours of experience in minimum 4 knowledge areas, and that requirement is no longer met actually, because you now have only 3 knowledge areas in which your experience is more than 900. Okay, and hence your application will be rejected. So this is very risky. This is very risky, and take care of this. 90% of the applications get rejected because of this mistake. Okay, so our advice is do not report any non-BA task. Report only the BA task. And then you need to report the professional development hours. So all those trainings that Vellicate provides. Vellicate is an endorsed education provider. So they account for the professional development hours. So you need those 21 hours of training, and this training that you have attended does provide you that 21 hours of professional development. Okay, so you can report that. And for the trainings that qualify for this, the training have to be related to business analysis. Okay, so project management, soft skill trainings, they don't count. And you might have to share the contents in case your application comes to audit. Should not come to an audit, because we are EEP, and this course is approved by IIBA, so should not come. However, keep that ready and do let me know if any question is asked. Yes, Binu, you have a question?
Okay. Yes, Ringer. I am actually confused at this stage where I'm required to fill those knowledge areas. How am I gonna map it with my current field? I mean, I'm the analyst over here of data and operations. So how am I gonna map it with the BA?
Okay, I'm going to actually come to that. I'll explain the tool that we have. So using that tool, you can record your experience. Okay.
Okay.
So these 21 hours of professional development, this training has to be instructor led, and the knowledge should be assessed. So therefore EEP is a safe bid. There is no problem with that. We will provide you a certificate, so keep that certificate ready as a proof of the training. If you are asked, you can produce that certificate. And then the next requirement is you need to identify and report 2 references. And these references could be your present or past career manager, present or past client, or another CBAP. The most important thing is that these reference must know you for minimum 6 months. So as we are here, let me share with you what your references receive. So let me share that with you. So when you give the reference number, reference in your application, the reference will receive an automatic mail, and that mail will have the template like this. Okay, so they will be giving their name, phone number, organization, title, email address, and this is the drop down menu where there are only 3 options. So they could be a career manager, your internal or external clients, they could be another CBAP, right? And they need to give for how long they have been knowing you. And you see over here, there is one option 0 to 5. If they give this, then it gets rejected. So ensure that the references that you are giving, they know you for minimum 6 months, and they select this option of minimum 6 months. And then the candidate's name, so your name, your duties, um, and how effectively you're performing these duties. And they will be asked to rate your competencies on these competencies on a scale of 1 to 5. So this is again drop down menu. So they will be rating your competencies on all these skills that the BAs need to have. And then there is question, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and does the candidate display high degree of personal integrity? And they should actually answer yes. If no, then they will have to explain, and that has an implication on your application. So they need to actually do endorse that you demonstrate the high level of integrity. And then, do you endorse the candidate as a business analyst professional? And they need to say yes. If no, they need to explain. And finally, they need to give the consent that they can be contacted. Okay, so you receive, they will receive this email, and they need to reply to this email, and then they will be accepted as your reference. Then the next one is prepare the application. Okay, my first tip will be download that CBAP or CCBA handbook. It is a good handbook. Don't stress on exact hour or even exact date. Approximation is perfectly fine. Okay, so you don't have to break your head and have the exact date or exact hours on every project. Very high level approximation is perfectly fine. Also, break the large multi-year projects into a smaller sub projects because of the percentages. Otherwise, there could be a risk that you may lose. If there is any error, you may lose a significant number of hours if that was a big project. Okay, so therefore, break multi-year projects into smaller projects. Our advice is, a yearly project should be good enough. Also help your reference draft what you want them to say. So you will report the task that you have performed on this project. So therefore, give a para to your references, what you are telling about your experience, about your BA experience. You will need the application approved before you schedule the exam. Okay, so the application need to be approved. If application is rejected, you will have to wait for 3 months and apply again, and you have to pay the fees again. So therefore, need to ensure that the application is not rejected. Once you have prepared this, the next thing is that you need to make a payment for the application fees. Okay, so that is the next section, and then you need to do. So now I would like to introduce to you a tool, and this is the tool that I have shared with you. This is an Excel based tool which you will use to capture your BA experience. Okay, so let me open this file as well, and I'll open a filled in file. Okay, so filled in file will look like this. So this summary sheet in this file has all the formulas. Okay, so you see over here, these are all formulas. So you don't have to really you don't have to provide you don't have to write anything on this summary sheet. This summary sheet will get populated automatically, where you will get the total number of hours on every project, and you will have to fill these hours in your application. It also calculates the percentage automatically. So you will have to fill this percentage. These hours will be calculated by IIBA backend, but you will fill this percentage and provide this in your application. Please understand the application does not accept the fractional percentages, and therefore here the percentages are rounded off. If your number of hours are very close to that 900 or 500 hours, then please verify that these percentages that you are putting, if you apply this percentage as the full hours in that particular project, that really gives you the correct total number of hours. Okay, so this application, this sheet comes automatically. What you need to fill is the project sheet. Okay, so fill this project sheet, and in the row 4 from where you start filling is basically the information about the project. So it is project name, start date, end date, the brief description of the project, the roles that you played on this project, how many people were reporting to you. This green cell is calculated automatically. Then the project contact. These project contacts are not contacted, they are just for information. IIBA will contact only your references. They are not contacted, but this is just for reference that you need to give to IIBA. So the name of the project contact, the email address, the phone number, the relationship with that contact, the organization, industry, the address of the organization, and the website of the organization. So information about the project. And then actually here in this Excel sheet we have listed only the BA task. Okay, so these are only the BA tasks. So if you have performed any of these tasks, write the approximate number of hours against those tasks that you have performed. So for example, you planned the requirement management process, and you roughly spent 40 hours on this. So put 40 hours over here. And you have not planned business analysis communication, so you did not put any hours over here. So put approximate number of hours against the task that are listed over here in each knowledge area, right? So you put these number of hours in every knowledge area against every task, and then your number of hours and everything will be calculated automatically. So here this 708 hours, and BAPM had 120 hours, 72, 180, and all that comes automatically over here, and these percentages actually are calculated automatically. So in the application, what you need to do in application, you need to put the project information that will come from the row number 4. So you will give that project information which is coming from row number 4, right? And you will give the task that you have. You will give the total number of hours on this project. You will also put the percentages in every knowledge area, so that you will put from here. And then you will have to tick the task that you have performed which account for these percentages. So you will take those tasks from the project sheet. So whatever task had a positive non-zero number of hours spent on that, you simply tick those tasks. That's all. You don't have to give these hours. You need to simply tick only these tasks. So tick only these tasks. Do not tick anything. So your Excel sheet, this Excel sheet is the basis for completing your IIBA application. Okay, so use this Excel sheet for completing the IIBA applications. And again, ensure these dates and hours can be approximate, and based on these tasks that you have ticked, provide that para to your references so that they know what you have told about this particular about the work that you have done. Okay, now another tip is do not modify this Excel sheet after you have entered this data in the application, because in case your application comes for audit, the IIBA will ask questions, and you can and you should refer the same Excel sheet and provide them the information that you have said. Okay, so use this Excel sheet. This Excel sheet is a beautiful Excel sheet which is developed by Watermark. good Excel sheet. So use this to get the data about the project, right? And as I told, tick those tasks which has the non-zero hours. Okay. You can combine the small projects into one project. Okay. You don't have to submit the resume. Enter the total BARs in every knowledge area. Okay, and it is better to have the projects in chronological order, starting with the most recent one, though not mandatory, but that helps actually. So IIBA application will have a huge list like this actually. So this is business analysis, planning and monitoring, and you see there is a huge list, and there are many tasks which are not BA tasks. For example, identified project risk, determined SDLC approach, created project plan, conducted resource planning. None of these are BA tasks. Conducted BA team performance review. Even that is not a BA task. That is a manager's task. Okay, managed the team of BA, again not a BA task. So therefore actually do not tick those things. We have taken only subset of these in our Excel sheet. So refer our Excel sheet and tick only those tasks which are there in the Excel sheet. Those are the BA tasks. Capture the BA experience only on those tasks. Leave this. Okay. So again, I would like to repeat this. If you select non-BABOK task, they will be removed. Your hours will be removed pro rata basis. Your hours will be reduced from your total BA experience, and therefore you may fall below 7,500 requirements for CBAP, or 3,750 hours requirement for CCBA, or 900 hours requirements in the knowledge area, and that will cause your application to be rejected. And then so this application, IIBA applications, you can fill some information and you can save the information, and then you can continue filling that information. So you don't have to complete the application in one go. You can continue filling the information, saving that, and keep coming back to the application. So you can then complete your personal information, complete the education section, complete the education and professional development section, right? So you can complete all of them. Your reference will receive an email as I have described to you, and they will have to provide the information in the template. You need to agree to IIBA code of conduct. You can view and print your application, so you can do that, and then you submit your application. You pay the fees, so which is $125 through PayPal. This fees is not refundable. You wait for approval. IIBA takes up to 15 days for approving your application, and IIBA will either approve the application or they will come up with clarification. Okay. And if they come up with clarification, use your Excel sheet, use the data actually to provide them. Application, as I said, remains valid for 1 year from the approval. And once your application is approved for you to take the exam, you need to pay that exam fees of $325 for IIBA members, $450 for non-members. And if someone fails to pass, then they will have to pay $250 for retaking the exam if they are members, and $325 for non-members. Okay. So exam has to be scheduled on Prometric site, and you need to go to the Prometric center and take that exam, and finally come with the success.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what it is actually. So Vinu, coming back to your question now, right? What you need to do is take this Excel sheet, right? That Excel sheet that I have provided. Take that Excel sheet, complete your project information, and tick those tasks that you have performed, which are appearing in this Excel sheet, right? So take approximate hours on those tasks, and then send that Excel sheet to me. So as I told that we help all our students complete their application. So send this Excel sheet to me. We will be happy to review this application and then provide you guidance. How can you complete your application?
Okay. Over here, I have one question. I mean, the kinds of projects that I undertake is generally onboardings because we are a support to our company and we are into monitoring. So basically, the projects are. Last time I would ask it, you sure, right? I can give the paper. Good night.